guys, it's Melissa Morrow with Vintage Bee Design and Rave Home Staging, and it's been 3 weeks, but we finally have a new video for you. It has been insane here in Jacksonville, Florida, and work has just been piling up. And of course, we also went to Dion's retreat in Galveston, Texas recently. I promise I will tell you all about it in a future video. We had tons of fun, but for right now, let's go ahead and get started on today's video and the great craft fair projects that I have for you. Today, we're not even going to give you a preview. We're just going to jump right in. If you want to fast forward at any point, I do go ahead and put chapters in, so you are welcome to just move forward if you want to eliminate some steps. I will primarily be using DIY paint today, and part of that is because I love the texture on raw wood, and since all three of my projects today are going to start off as raw wood, this is my paint of choice.
I will find a place for us. I will show you where to go.
After doing 2 solid coats, I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick 1-layer top coat with DIY's Crystal Clear Chandelier Liquid Patina. And this is really to protect the white from the black that I'm about to put over it. We're going to go with a little black dress on this next step, which is real fun. Before I get there though, I want to be sure that I have a nice clean line, so I'm just adding a little bit of painter's tape to my design. So if you followed me for any length of time, you know that I love stenciling. I love teaching people how to stencil that always feel like they cannot. But if you're one of those people and you don't happen to be near me where I can show you and you still haven't mastered the swirl method yet, then let's check these out. We are carrying a Maker Studio, and we have these great mesh stencils. So mesh stencils are a lot like screen printing, where they have an adhesive on the back and you can lay them down, they stick to the surface, and then you use a squeegee to basically run your ink, which is in this case paint, across your surface, which means you're not going to have any bleed through, no pouncing, no swirling. You're literally just going to drag this across the page. And we've got some amazing background patterns. And then I know everybody loves the crockery. Check this out. So this is the new Maker Studio crockery set. This is called Cafe Chocolate. And if you go to vintagebeedesign.com, you'll be able to pick those up. We ordered a bunch because we know that our viewers are going to be excited. If you've never tried mesh stencils, they are very easy to work with. The important things to note are to make sure your stencil is stuck down really well. This can be much harder on curved surfaces. And then the second important thing is to make sure you've gotten all of the excess ink, or in this case paint, pulled up just by running that squeegee over and pulling it all off. Seriously, how gorgeous is this? And this has so much detail, it's unbelievable. It really is a beautiful product with super easy technique. Now I'm using my heat gun just to make sure this is completely dry before I pull off that painter's tape.
I won't try to change your mind, 'cause I'm always on your side. Time moves faster when you're by my side. It's so easy to get by. I'm leaving all my troubles behind.
Now I want to add a nice crisp dark stripe between this beautiful bottom and the white top, because I'm going to add a welcome above that. So I'm going to my JRV grain sack stencils, and I'm just going to tape this down really nicely, use a JRV stencil brush, and sort of paint with the stencil brush. Just because I'm painting with the brush and not swirling or pouncing doesn't mean that I can have a lot of paint on there. We need to do it the same way we always do, with next to no paint on the brush. We're just going to take nice fluid movements, and that's really because this, I want that solid fill, and also this stencil, because it's got so much open space, it does tend to move around a little bit. I'm going to let that dry for a minute. Actually, I'm going to use my heat gun, and then I'm going to proceed with the Welcome Mesh Stencil by a Maker Studio. And I actually just want to use the word. There are lines here so you can cut these apart, but you don't really have to. So I'm just going to line this up just above the line the way that I want to, kind of deciding if I want that little bit of branch in there or not. I decided I didn't, so I'm just going to make sure this is laid down nice and firm. I'm going to add tape over that laurel branch to make sure that I don't get any paint on it. And going into my other mesh part, and then I'm going to use the exact same technique I used on the bottom.
I will get to you, 'cause you make it easy. You make it all so easy now. I will find a place for us. I will show you where to go. And I won't try to change your mind, 'cause I'm always...
I mean, seriously, how easy is that? Okay, so this project is just about done. I am going to add some D-rings on the back. I just want to be sure they're semi-level on the back. And then I'm going to use a very tiny bit, the tiniest bit I have, in my Ryobi drill. And then I'm going to do a little bit of a pilot hole and then add some screws with my D-rings, and then just going to add a little twine.
On my mind, you stay to keep me up at night.
There are so many ways to add a bow to these cute door hangers. In this case, I want my bow to be detachable. I'm adding a winter bow, but by using a little eye hook and actually hooking the bow onto the eye hook, then you can change it out to a spring ribbon or whatever you want. Since this is such a universal pattern with the flowers and a simple welcome, you can really change this out seasonally, which is what I plan here. Now I'm just going to cut that wire a little bit on the back and then give my bow a nice fluff, and it is all ready. There are just so many ways you can customize this, especially with the variety of backgrounds of mesh stencils. I would love to hear what you think about this door hanger. Leave a message in the comments below. Now, before we move on to the next project, I did want to show you really quickly how we clean our stencils. It's really important that you don't let the paint dry in the mesh, or your stencil will become unusable. So I like to use a nice scrubby. We use the coconut scrubbers here, the Eco Coconut, and you just want to make sure you clean both sides, and then you're going to leave it to dry upside down. And this is really important because the adhesive will reactivate once it's completely dry, and if you leave it stuck to anything like a paper towel, you will again ruin it. So this next project, our napkin jars, are one of our best selling items at market. We are going to go ahead and use Dixie Belle's Slick Stick on these. In my opinion, it is a better adhesion than using either clay-based paint or chalk paint, and it just sticks so much better. So we're going to do 2 coats, and I'm just going for white. So if I were using a different color, I might use a different paint, or I might use this as a primer and then add a top coat of a different paint, but we're just going for white. While this is drying, let's go ahead and get started on painting our box. And again, I am gonna use DIY paint. I love it on wood. It's got so much texture. It covers all this marking from the manufacturer. It's just great. Oh, and I am using my Klingons, and I love my Klingon brushes because they practically clean themselves. I love to show the freak out factor parts of using DIY base paint, and because it is clay, it has a weird drying thing where it's sometimes transparent or it dries spotty, and just know it will actually fix itself when it's fully dried. In this case, you can see through it, and I'm going to apply the heat gun and just go kind of real time, let you watch it dry and notice how that transparency actually goes away. Sometimes you think when you're painting, this is never going to end. I'm going to have to keep doing coat after coat. If just trust the process and know that once it's fully dry, none of it will be seen and you're going to have great coverage. See, now that it's drying with the heat gun, you can't even see where it was, and this is only the first coat. Once you do the second coat, it is totally covered. Now, I don't know if you know that we sell napkins for decoupage at vintagebedesign.com. We probably have about 30 to 40 patterns that are actually in stock right now, including some amazing fall ones, Thanksgiving ones, and of course, holiday ones, along with regular coastal and what have you. This is 20 napkins for $5, and when you open it up, you'll be able to see that you actually get 4 patterned on the same napkin. So this will cover multiple jars. Before you decoupage, it's really important that you go ahead and test how far around your jar it's going to go. You can see there's a little bit of gappage here, so I'm going to want to cover that. And then we need to make sure we pull apart the plies. Some of our napkins are 2-ply and some are 3-ply. So just they pull apart really easily. Just try not to tear your primary napkin. And actually the back napkin can be used, that 1-ply can actually be used to stamp on it and then decoupage as well. Now, you cannot use the mesh stencils on napkins because they have an adhesive back and they will tear the napkin and the napkin will get stuck onto your pieces, so don't do that. So to take these apart easily and get the nice rough edge that I like, you just take a simple paintbrush and a little bit of water and paint a stripe, and then you'll be able to easily pull the napkins apart. It's amazing how this works. And you can do this with the heavier decoupage papers like the JRV papers as well. You just might need to let the water sit in a little bit more and let it kind of go a little bit gray. You'll see it darken up when it is ready to pull apart. And I'm going to do this on all 4 edges because I like that rough torn look, and where we actually have to seam another piece together, you're going to not be able to see the seam when you go ahead and pull it like this.
Can't explain it, I just know I never felt more alive. I will get to you, 'cause you make it easy. You make it all so easy now. I will find a place for us, I will show you where to go, and I won't try to change your mind, 'cause I'm always on your side.
For these 3 small jars, I'm going to need 2 napkins, 2 full napkins. We're going to have them in half. And then as you can see, I'm taking that 4th half and dividing it into small strips. This is going to fit into that little section, and we're going to overlay where they don't meet. So once again, I'm going to go with my DIY Crystal Clear Chandelier Liquid Patina and a small brush, and I am going to go ahead and apply this medium. We're going to call it a decoupage medium, to the entire jar, and then I'm going to add that little strip first, and then I'm going to cover the entire jar with the other piece of tissue paper. you're decoupaging with tissue paper or with napkins, they're very fragile, so be sure you have a light touch with your brush. It can be very easy to tear them, especially when you're layering over the decoupage. Now, while this seam looks a little bit obvious, in the end, when it's all dried, you really can't tell. You'd have to actually really look at the jars to see, whereas if we'd left that white stripe, it would have been very obvious. The liquid patina works as a top coat or a decoupage medium, and while it goes on white, it does dry perfectly clear. That is white, it's crystal clear chandelier. And we are back to stenciling. So once our top coat there, it's all dry, I'm going to pull out some word stencils by JRV. There's a bunch of really nice ones here. We actually have several sets. And it's really affordable because there are multiple words that you can sort of mix and match. In this case, it is near the holidays. I'm going to go with blessed. And what I'm actually going to show you this time, if you want to stick around a minute, is I'm going to show you how to do a drop shadow with your stencils, which can add a lot of dimension, and it's just so much crisper than adding just a single layer stencil. So after you get the first word done, you're going to want to clean your stencil and get a fresh, clean stencil brush. You're going to just slightly offset the letters so they're typically either just to the right or just above and to the right of your original word, and you're going to want to make sure that this is a nice deep rich coat. You may actually need to do 2 coats because remember, adding more paint doesn't give you a better darker result, it just makes it bleed. So it's always best to go with thin layers. So here is the completion of project number 3, which is our 3-jar box. Now these jars sell really well individually also. We sell the larger quart jars for $14.99 and pretty much universally sell out. How do you like this project? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, and our third project of the day is this noodle board. Now, if you don't know what it, and you see it's huge, it's like as big as me. If you've never seen a noodle board before, basically these, I didn't paint the back so that you could see. These are basically boards that are the same length and then 2 boards cut across here and then some handles, and we decorate them in all kinds of ways. But these go on glass top stoves to protect the surface. And we sell these like crazy. We typically sell them for $45 a piece. And with wood going up, they might go up a little bit, but we usually sell at least 8 to 10 of these at every market show. These are fast and easy to make, and they look good with virtually any decoupage paper. So with having so many choices between JRV, Dixie Belle, and Redesign with Prima, the ideas are limitless really, and these are also great using transfers. The only issue we have with transfers occasionally is where the boards sort of connect, is you might need to slice that or air gets under them and can make it lift. So we're just going to make sure this is laid down completely and that I've got the medium everywhere under and over, and I'm going to let it just sort of hang over on the side. And I'm going to use that spreader that I used on the first project just to kind of push this into the corners and really make sure it's laid down nicely. I'll actually come through with a brayer later, but I don't think that I filmed that. I want to make sure this is bubble free as much as possible.
I will find a place for us. I will show you where to go. I won't try to change your mind, 'cause I'm always on your side. Time moves faster when you're by my side. It's so easy to get by. I'm leaving all my troubles behind. I will get to you, 'cause you make it easy. You make it all so easy now. I will find a place for us. I will show you where to go. And I won't try to change your mind, 'cause I'm always on your side.
And here we are at the very end of our third and final project. I would love to get your feedback on what you thought about these projects. These are some of our best sellers that we sell at every market. You just sort of change the paper, change the design, and they sell out pretty much universally. I hope you get a chance to try them. I hope you have enjoyed today's video. Please be sure to hit the like and the subscribe button if you've enjoyed this content. And I will do my best to create videos every Sunday. It has been a couple of weeks. It's just been crazy here. But thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you next week. Yeah, ready.
There it goes.
It's all good.
Hey, guys, we're getting ready to go in. And just so you know Sue. Do you know Veronica?
You should know Veronica.
Here I am. Her channel will be in the description below. And then we have Amy Munson. And Amy, do you have a YouTube channel?
No.
No YouTube
yet.
channel for Amy. Not yet. We may just snudge her that way. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to go check out the Goodwill. Oh, look, we got a crow. Crackle.
That's your name?
I don't know, but he's ready to go join the thrifting. See you inside.
Let's go shopping.